wound up leaving at a certain time, correct?
I never left.
Well, you left because you're in court today. You're not still at the waterfall.
Okay, correct.
So what I'm trying to get at is, at some point you left the waterfall, but was there a point before that where you were planning to go?
Correct.
All right. Tell us about that.
So my husband had eaten, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to get going. And I was about to get going, and then John and Karen walked in.
Okay. And when you say John and Karen, you're referring to?
John O'Keefe and Karen Reed.
And why did that change your plans?
I was excited to see them. I liked Karen, so as soon as I saw her walk in, I was like, hey, I'm going to stay. I want to talk to her.
And what did you notice about John O'Keefe's mood when he arrived that night?
So John was very happy. His niece had just gotten into a private school called Bishop Fian, and that was like the first thing he was talking about. He was elated that she got in, and he was telling everybody about that.
And thereafter, how much interaction did you have with John and or Karen?
Karen and I probably spent the entire night talking. Maybe give or take some time that we didn't, but the majority of the time Karen and I were speaking together.
And if you had to estimate, how long a conversation did you have with Karen?
Maybe an hour, like 40, 50 minutes out of the hour. Like if we spent like an hour together, perhaps we spoke 50 minutes of those out of that hour.
And without telling us the content of the conversation, what was the subject matter, if you remember?
So Karen was also, she mentioned being excited about Kaylee getting into Bishop Fian. And well, when I first saw her, she first started talking about my daughter. So I saw her, she came in, she greeted me, and when we did start talking, she just started talking about my daughter and how much she really loved my daughter's relationship with John's niece.
Okay. And while you were having this conversation with Karen, was it an easy conversation back and forth?
Very easy.
Where were you located within the waterfall while you were having this conversation?
We were at a height. I don't remember where we were. We were talking. We were sitting down talking at a table.
And how close did you get to her when you were speaking with her?
In order for someone to hear you, because of the band being so loud, we were probably a couple feet from each other.
And in what direction were you facing when you were speaking to her? And I'm talking in relation to Karen.
I don't remember if she was next to me at this point. She could have been next to me at this point.
All right. And your face would have been facing where?
At her.
Okay. That actually was the question. I'm sorry. This is kind of a stilted way to talk, but I have to ask the questions this way.
We were face to face.
There you go. All right. So in other words, Karen was also facing you when she was speaking to you?
Correct.
Did you notice what Karen was drinking?
So she was drinking a drink out of, it was a clear liquid out of a clear glass, and I assumed it to be alcohol of some sort, but I'm not sure.
And while you were talking with her, can you describe, was the conversation coherent?
Very coherent.
Was she making sense?
She was.
Was she engaged in the conversation?
She was.
And did you make any observations regarding her sobriety?
She seemed fine to me.
And you're a pharmacist, correct?
I am a pharmacist.
And you were that night?
I was that night.
How much interaction did you see that Karen had with John O'Keefe?
They had some interaction.
And was there one specific interaction that stands out in your mind, then and today? And I'm talking about a physical interaction.
When they hugged at one point.
Okay. And did John come over to Karen at one point and do something?
He did.
What did he do?
So John went over to Karen and he gave her a kiss on the forehead.
Okay. And that kiss on the forehead, why did that stand out to you?
So, honestly, I'd never seen something like that before, a boyfriend do to a girlfriend in public. Never saw that. So it just stood out to me. I was like, wow, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
When a vehicle's involved, have you ever been involved in treating patients that receive injuries from broken plastic or broken glass in a car?
Yes, many times.
And when you've seen them, have those injuries differed on a person as far as cuts and abrasions from glass or broken plastic?
Yes.
When you were considering excluding car impact or collision as a source of Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, did you consider whether or not Mr. O'Keefe could have been struck on the side of the car in a clip-type event rather than being run over?
Yes, I considered multiple scenarios.
Had you, or do you agree that injuries from a side swipe or from a clip could be much, much different than a full rear or front impact being run over?
They could be.
Did you do any study in this case when you were thinking about excluding the car collision or impact as the source of Mr. O'Keefe's abrasions about what his body posture was, how he may have hit a motor vehicle? Did you consider that?
I considered several scenarios,
And when you
several different positions.
And when you considered that, what did you conclude as far as Mr. O'Keefe's body movement at the time of any potential impact?
Oh, first of all, I didn't see any medical evidence that there was an impact. There were no significant injuries from the neck down, no fractures, no bruise, no internal injuries, no lacerated organs, no collections of fluid in the lung cavities, the abdominal cavity, no significant injuries from the neck down, and so yes, I used that and tried to put that in a scenario of his various positions. What could he have been? Standing, kneeling, sitting, lying down on the ground. I did all that.
You were a police officer before you went to medical school, weren't you?
Yes.
You had arrived at scenes of many, many car collisions, hadn't you?
Yes.
What is oftentimes left behind after a car collides with an object?
Debris.
Debris field, yes? Did you look at the debris field in this case?
No.
In the cases that you went to wherever you saw car collisions, some of the debris that you would find could be broken glass or broken plastic. Isn't that fair to say?
Yes.
And when you went to those scenes, you would often find broken glass or broken plastic in a debris field near where the victim was found or laying. Isn't that fair to say?
The debris field would be usually near the collision, if there was a collision impact.
And when you were considering excluding car impact or collision in this case, did you take a look at the entire debris field to determine how close or far it was from Mr. O'Keefe's body?
I couldn't tell on
Did you
the
ask any
photographs.
question? I'm sorry, please finish.
I couldn't tell from the photographs.
And before you came to your conclusions, did you ask anybody for any more information so that you could make a fair assessment of that information?
The injuries here were so characteristic that, and they were so parallel to one another that I couldn't even imagine pieces of glass or plastic or even metal lining up to cause those injuries, lining up in a certain fashion to cause those regular striations.
Rather than imagining, did you make any effort to actually seek information so you could identify and evaluate the debris field around Mr. O'Keefe's body that morning?
I did not.
Have you ever, as a police officer looking into car collisions, ever hear of the term knocked out of one's shoes?
Not as a police officer.
Have you ever heard of that as a medical expert?
I've heard of it as a civilian, yes. Not as a medical expert.
Can I have Exhibit 74B, please? In your study, before you gave an opinion excluding an impact or a collision as the cause of Mr. O'Keefe's abrasions on his arm, were you aware of this photograph where Mr. O'Keefe's sneaker was found on the side of the road?
I am aware that there was one shoe off, correct.
Were you aware that it was wedged right up against the curb? Were you aware of that?
I have been aware of that, yes.
And when you came to your conclusion that you offered that the injuries are not consistent with a impact or car collision, was this photograph part of your consideration?
No.
If you could have Exhibit 99D, please. In your study to give an ultimate opinion, where you suggest that a car collision or impact was not the source of Mr. O'Keefe's arm injuries, were you aware of this photograph of Mr. O'Keefe's hat found at the bottom of the snow in the corner of that yard?
No.
Do you see underneath that hat there was not 2 inches of snow? It looks like dirt and grass.
Yes.
When you gave the opinion that he was on 2 inches of snow, would it be important to know whether or not he fell directly on the hard ground or on snow?
It could be important. However, it could be. If the ground was frozen, if it wasn't frozen, it could matter a little bit.
Exhibit 73, please. When you were reaching your conclusions, you said you considered some of the debris field. Did you see this photograph of a piece of taillight that matches the defendant's taillight of her SUV? Did you consider this piece of evidence that was found in the debris field?
Not specifically.
76A, please. Same question. Did you consider this piece of the debris field when you were coming to your conclusions that you offered us yesterday?
I considered that there would be several pieces of metal, plastic, or glass at the scene.
Did you consider this picture of plastic from the defendant's rear taillight found at that scene? Did you consider that before you gave your opinion to the jury?
No.
You can take that down, please. Would there be any significance in your study in the foundation of your opinion that a collision or impact did not cause Mr. O'Keefe's wounds on his arm? Was it important for you to determine whether or not the taillight to the defendant's Lexus was broken early that morning?
I think there needs to be more to the question.
Okay. When you were considering potential causes of injuries, did you know that the defendant's Lexus rear right taillight was broken and missing pieces?
Yes.
Was it important to time when that taillight was broken?
What do you mean by time?
You understand that Mr. O'Keefe was found on January 29th, 2022, yes?
Yes.
Early morning hours.
Yes.
When you were making your differential diagnosis, was it important for you to learn whether around that time the defendant's taillight was broken?
It was important to know. I still don't understand the question. I'm having a trouble understanding the question.
It's my fault. I'll try to ask it a different way. You were considering as much facts and information as you could to give a solid opinion in front of this jury, weren't you?
Yes.
And you ultimately have offered an opinion that the wounds to Mr. O'Keefe's arm are not consistent with an impact or a collision with a vehicle. Yes?
That's correct.
You know,
Dr. Russell, do you recognize that depiction?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a diagram of canine dental anatomy.
And could you please, just for the jury, briefly describe dog dentition and what we mean by the term dentition. I think most know, but just for the record.
So I believe dentition just means the teeth and the shape of the teeth and of the mouth of the animal or a person. And what this diagram shows is that in general, dogs tend to have a triangular mouth, meaning it comes to a narrowing towards the front of the mouth. It shows how many teeth a normal dog will have, and what they look like. There are different kinds of teeth, just like humans have different kinds of teeth.
In Your Honor, to assist the jury in the understanding of what Dr. Russell was speaking about, with Your Honor's permission, could we publish this as a chalk for the jury?
Is there any objection?
None, thank you.
Okay. Sure, go right ahead.
Thank
Mr.
you, Your
Johnson.
Honor. And will enlarge, Mr. Woke, the Dr. Russell, where would you like to start with regard to this, just to give the jury a brief discussion of dog dentition? Which part of this should we zoom in on?
I think the lower half around the triangular upper and lower jaws, right there.
Right there? Very
Yeah.
good. And Mr. Woke, if you could just, to start with, pull it down just so we can see the headings, and more importantly, the jury can see the headings of those two diagrams that Dr. Russell has pointed out. Yes, and just enlarge that. Can you read what's on the left and what's on the right? It's slightly blurry.
It's slightly blurry.
Mandible, lower jaw, maxilla, upper jaw?
Yes, I
got
can
that
read it.
right? Alrighty. So if we could then just reduce it back down so it's a little bit so that it's not distorted. And then Dr. Russell, if you could just talk about it. And before we do that, I think it would be helpful, Dr. Russell, we can go to the depiction up above just to get the overall picture up above there of the dog. All right. Is that that's an overall picture, correct? Do you want to point out anything generally on that picture?
I don't have a pointer, but generally it's a side view, and it shows and it's a skeletal view, so there's no skin, and it shows that there are some prominent teeth. They're called the canine teeth, and then there are some smaller teeth in front of that.
Excuse me if I couldn't interrupt. Pardon my interruption.
Yes.
I'm just going to try to locate in the courtroom a pointer, Your Honor. If
There's nothing on that, Mr. Gandolfo?
I've got one, Your Honor. May I approach? If there's one on the
No.
Yeah, I didn't see. May I approach, Your Honor? Thank you. Here, Dr. Russell. Hopefully
Okay.
that will work for you. Thank you. Excuse me.
Okay, so this is a side view, and it shows many teeth, and and this is a skeletal view, obviously, and it shows these prominent teeth, which are called the canine teeth. Humans also have canine teeth, and ours are not quite as prominent. And then there are some teeth in front of that, which are called incisors. So that's the overview.
Right. And just to put this in context, we are looking at this and talking about dogs. Have you had the opportunity to review any photos of the right arm of the decedent in this case?
Yes.
Is one of the topics you're going to address whether those wounds are from a dog?
Yes.
And so this background in terms of dog dentition part of what you're going to cover for the jury later on?
Yes, and I want to make one more comment, if I may.
Please.
Just when a dog bites, they usually don't bite with all of the teeth. They usually don't get all the teeth impacted on the individual. So that's important to know. Oftentimes it's the anterior or the front teeth.
Why, doctor, is it the case that a dog doesn't always have a complete bite, get all of the teeth? Why is that the case?
Well, there's oftentimes movement. Oftentimes the dogs aren't really trained on biting techniques, And so, yeah, there's oftentimes the person who's being bitten is pulling away and, you know, and trying to avoid the bite. So oftentimes there's only impact with a few of the teeth in the front.
Great. Please continue, doctor, with your...
Dr. Russell, could I ask you to use this screen?
Oh, yes.
instead of the other one, please? I think it's easier for counsel.
Oh, okay. So overview, these large canine teeth, these are the anterior teeth, and as I said, it's very rare for all the teeth to be involved in the bite. It's usually just the front teeth and canine teeth.
Are there certain teeth that are on this depiction that cause certain types of injuries, abrasions, tears, punctures? Is there any relation to the teeth in any of those categories, or can it be just general?
Well, oftentimes, because the canine teeth are so long compared to the others, they are the ones that seem to cause the the puncture wounds, and those are the ones that appear to get the grip on the person's skin.
Is there a medical term for a puncture wound from a canine? Or is it just it's a punctate wound from canines?
I'm not sure there's a medical term.
Okay, please continue.
Okay. Well, that's about it on this side view.
And is there any other view on the exhibit that you would like to discuss with the jury?
Well, I was going to show that it's triangular. Again, the here the upper and lower jaws. Yeah, they tend to be somewhat triangular.
Is that also sometimes the shape referred to as an hourglass, or is it triangular, or you prefer triangular?
I've heard it referred to as hourglass. I don't see an hourglass, but yeah, you know, maybe in some dog breeds, because all, you know, the different dog breeds have different shapes of their mouths. But this is just a generalization.
Okay, please continue.
I don't know that there's anything else.
All right, and so you
Oh,
think...
actually, yes. So here you can see, go back, please. So here you can see, again, the canines, and it's oftentimes this is the upper jaw, the maxilla jaw. It's oftentimes these teeth that do the impacting.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say it's often these teeth that what?
That do the impact. The upper jaw is oftentimes the part that actually makes contact with the skin. That's all.
Thank you. We can take that down, Mr. Wolf. Thank you, Your Honor. Now let's go to dog-inflicted injuries on humans generally. What type of injuries to humans can be caused by dog-inflicted bites?
Well, there are lots of different types of injuries. So they could be extremely minor, from a minor scratch to puncture wounds by individual teeth, to actual puncture and punctures by several teeth. There could be several abrasions because there are multiple teeth involved, and if they don't puncture, they at least scratch. They can scratch the skin. That's what I call abrasion, is a scratch. So they scratch the skin, but in parallel, because the teeth are lined up. So they oftentimes have parallel lines. And then, of course, there are, you know, bruises that could occur because of the crushing injury, and there can be what we call avulsions, which are where an actual flap of the skin is removed, and I can go further, but you know, there's a wide extent of injuries.
So there's a wide extent, a wide range, and can you just give one or two factors that are going to determine whether you're on the more minor side of the range to the more major part as regard to the type of bite that the dog is able to get?
Well, I think that when there is penetration of the skin and pulling away of some of the tissue, I would consider that a more significant bite because of what's needed for treatment.
Just bear a moment, please. Thank you. So, in terms of the nails and claws of a dog, what type of injury, if any, can those cause?
So the nails they're also somewhat pointy or triangular in configuration or shape, and so they can cause scratches, and actually they can cause even deeper wounds if the nail catches the victim's skin a certain way. But most of the time, just scratches.
From your experience, what type of medical experience, peer-reviewed article experience, your whole professional experience with dog-inflicted wounds on humans, do you have experience with just a part of the range or the whole range of injuries that a dog can inflict?
Well, I think I have a very wide range of experiences because those very serious ones we talked about in the very beginning, where there were crushing and ripping injuries, or those were the trained canine dog bites. Most emergency physicians don't even get to see those. They're so uncommon. But because I was assigned to jail ward, that's how I got to see them. But in the majority, in the main ER, most ERs in our main ER, we saw the more minor type of injuries.
So, in terms of if someone is bitten by a dog, where are they? Again, I think most people understand this, but just to be clear for the record, when someone gets a dog-inflicted wound, where do they usually go?
Well,
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Doctor, are you aware of the medical facility, from your experience, where people go who have dog-inflicted wounds?
well, if they feel like they need medical care, they will either go to a family doctor or most likely the emergency department, because the emergency department is where the resources are, the people that with the experience. They go to the emergency department in general.
From your experience, for people in your literature review and authoring of documents, do people with dog-inflicted wounds go to a veterinarian for treatment?
I'll let you answer it.
Not from my experience.
Have you ever heard of something called the blue wall of silence?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you think it's important for police officers to protect one another in the field and out?
Objection.
Sustained.
Have you spoken with anyone, not Mr. Brennan, he's covered that, have you spoken with anyone from the district attorney's office about your involvement in this case? Ever?
No,
Never?
unless you're going to provide a person. I've never talked to any of these people.
Have you talked to anyone at the DA's office at all, in any regard?
Not to my recollection,
How about indirectly?
not to my knowledge.
Are you friends with any people that you're aware of that are connected to this case? Are you personal friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, personal friends with anyone that's connected with this case?
Other people who's been on the witness stand, one person, yes.
Who's that?
Sarah Levinson.
How long have you known Sarah?
We became friends in middle school.
Did you watch any of this trial?
Clips in passing, but no, it's 6 hours a day. So I work during the day shift, no.
So you've seen some of the footage of the goings-on in this case, correct?
Yes, nothing with her. I did not watch her testimony.
Were you aware there was a sequestration order?
I don't know what that means, so no.
You're a sworn peace officer. You don't know what sequestration means
No,
in terms of witnesses?
No.
Not watching the proceedings in order to affect their testimony?
No, I wasn't aware.
But you did tune in to the case, correct?
In small clips, yes.
And you did, in fact, on August 9th, 2023, have a fulsome conversation with two sworn police officers about your memory of what you saw, your observations on January 29th, 2022, correct?
I don't know if they're police officers necessarily, but yes.
Law enforcement agents, how about that?
Yes.
And that conversation is reflected in this piece of paper that I just read to you, correct?
Yes.
Thanks. That's all I have.
Okay.
Were you subpoenaed by the Commonwealth in this case?
No.
You were subpoenaed by the defense.
Yes.
Did they tell you that there was a sequestration order or that you shouldn't watch any of the footage? Did they fairly inform you about what the ground rules were?
No, and I wasn't part of the first trial, so I had no idea about anything to do with this trial.
When you spoke to those law enforcement officers back in 2023, do you know that they made a report where you had informed them that you knew Sarah Levinson, and that report had been provided to the defense a long time ago? Did you know that?
Yes, I informed them very clearly.
So the question about if you know Sarah Levinson, that's no secret in your world, is it?
In that form, I'll sustain it.
That isn't a secret, is it?
Not at all.
That's something you were open and candid about?
Yes.
You understand that regardless of what you say, it doesn't matter as long as it's the truth. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The Commonwealth in no way is asking you to accommodate it or please it in any way. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If there was something that may be perceived by others as adverse to the Commonwealth, you understand we would want you to tell that if it was the truth, don't you?
Sustained.
You understand, well, the Commonwealth has never intimated, suggested, or advised you to say anything other than the truth, have they?
No.
Have you been given any consideration or reward because you remedied your memory?
No.
After being shown the evidence that you left that day, January 29, 2022 at 3:45, and learning that the defendant's car did not get to the Sally Port at 5:30 or so p.m., is there any way you could have seen Mr. Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins in the Sally Port with the defendant's car that night before you left for work?
There is no way.
Understanding you made a mistake, was the defense receptive to your explanation that you made a mistake?
Objection.
Sustained in that form.
Did the defense pressure you when you told them you were going to come into this court and tell the truth about your mistake?
Objection.
No, allow it.
Can you rephrase it?
Yes. When you told the defense you had made a mistake about your memory, did they pressure you?
Yes.
Did they pressure you to say something other than the truth?
Yes, they wanted me to repeat a lie at that point, given it would have been with malicious intent to repeat it.
Understanding a lawyer has no power to charge with contempt, does that change the reality of whether or not you were threatened? Let me ask it a different way. You were asked questions about whether or not you knew who could take out charges for a crime. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Regardless of whether an attorney has that power, were you threatened that there would be a charge of perjury if you didn't comply with the defense wishes in this case?
Yes.
And knowing you were going to come into court, given this experience you had with the defense, is that why you felt like they were going to tear you? Is that the phrase we used?
Yes, because they did not want me to tell the truth So I told them that knowing they were kind of trying to eat me alive into repeating something that is not the truth.
Rather than to come in here and be attacked, wouldn't it have been easier just to said what you had earlier thought was true?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Wouldn't it be easier just to come in and accommodate them rather than be threatened?
Well, of course.
So why did you come in here?
My entire job revolves around what I say on the stand right now. If I was to lie, I lose my job. I lose everything. I'm here to tell the truth. I cannot lie while sitting on the stand.
Thank you.
All right,
One question.
okay.
Your entire job revolves around what you say on the witness stand. Is that what you just testified to?
Yes.
And if you agreed that what you said to those two law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023, you would be implicating not one, but two police officers, law enforcement officers, correct? If
So-
you agreed with what you said in August of 2023 on this witness stand, you would be implicating two officers, fellow officers, correct?
So I'm confused as to what you're asking.
You would be implicating, if you agreed with me, you have not agreed that that was the truth. You've now indicated that what you told to law enforcement agents in August of 2023 was a lie.
No,
If you agreed with that statement here on the witness stand, you would be implicating two officers as having been in the Sally Port, weirdly, for a wildly long time with the SUV, implicating not one, but two fellow officers, correct? That's what you would be doing.
it's not possible I saw
If you
that.
agreed with
Objection.
me, would you be implicating the reputations of two officers?
If I was to lie, then yes.
And your entire job revolves around what you say on that witness stand. That's what you said, correct?
I'm still,
That's what you just said, Officer Dever, correct?
I still don't really understand the question.
You just said, all I'm asking you is what you just said. I wrote it down. You just said, my entire job revolves around what I say on the witness stand, correct?
Yes to that
Thank
question.
you. That's all I have.
I'm confused. When you spoke to those agents, you didn't implicate Chief Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins with doing anything criminal, did you?
No, they were friends. That's why Higgins had an office there.
You didn't implicate them ever suggesting they had tampered with evidence, did you?
No,
You never implicated them saying that they had framed anybody, did you?
no.
So when you talked to those agents, did you ever suggest that Mr. Higgins and Mr. Berkowitz did anything to touch or tamper with the defendant's Lexus at all?
No,
Never.
no.
Is there anybody you're protecting?
I have no one to protect.
Do you need to protect anybody?
No.
All right, Officer Dever, you are awesome.